Middle one?
That camera.
Far
That's
one?
the wide.
This is the Deering Acting Studio Podcast, where we discuss the connection between life and acting.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the Deering Acting Studio Podcast. We've got some big news today, boys. Big news! But we're going to wait a minute to tell you all about the big news. You're going to hang on here tight. We're going to talk first about our online acting school. This is something that we've been working on now for a couple of years. We've been preparing for this. And what's interesting is, obviously, we had no idea we were going to need it the way we did. And we have completely transformed acting in general. The way that we are producing classes, producing content, we are delivering the acting experience that people expect from Deering Acting Studio, and we're doing so in a virtual and online format.
Yeah, it has been, dude, it's been like such a wild ride. Like, and what's crazy is we had all these things sort of set in place, you know, ahead of time, like this desire to sort of set up the online format. You'd been working with the web team to start creating some things.
Dude, I've been fighting for this for years. I kept saying to you guys, I'm like, this is the future. We have to prepare for this. I don't know when, but everything's going to have to go this way. It just has to.
Can I tell you guys that I'll be the first to say I was a super grump when we first wanted to switch because I was so stressed out. I was like, oh, God. Oh man, that's a lot of stuff. And
you mean when the pandemic first happened?
Yeah, when the pandemic happened, and
what about before that? When I was asking you to dive into online stuff before we had to, were you a grump then?
No, but I mean, obviously all our eggs weren't in that basket, so that was never my main focus. So what's cool is this has become my main focus. I've found a love for it, but I wanted to talk into the truth of the matter, which was, it's really awesome now, but it goes back to going into something full on. I did not have a good attitude about it. I'm first one to say it. I was scared.
So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna learn from this?
100%. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah. So talk about it then.
Yeah. So a big part of it, like I just said, was fear. So it was less about the pandemic. I mean, that was obviously scary, but more about I've only been full-time here for 2 years now. I interned for my first year, and it's been a growing learning process the whole time. A lot of it has been learning, failing hard, and being forgiven by you and by our team, which is amazing. And it took a long time to adapt to that. So I was finally hitting this groove where I was understanding things with our regular classes. So our latest online course, Monologues Be Remembered, you should go check it out. It's really, really good. But I had finally figured out how to use our cameras and how to use the angles in this space in our room. I had lit the actors and the teacher to the best of what we had. And so for me, I was feeling really good about where we were at. And then at the drop of a pin, it was all gone.
Right.
And so then trying to transfer into online class, all you want to do all the time is make things better. And because I had no clue what I was doing anymore, I was so nervous about that because I was
so why don't you guys talk into for a second the difference then of how I approach this? Because you got to admit, I grabbed this thing and I pulled you guys for a while.
Oh, 100%.
100%. Yeah.
You know,
I'll jump on that. So first, I think it's not just this. I mean, it's in general, sort of the way that you approach things.
Yes.
And it's just that it's no matter what's going on, it's the idea of switching from what can't I do to what can I do. So yeah, we can point out things that aren't going to work, and at least for me, I know that was a thing that I do a ton. You know, I'll look at something and I still do it, and I'm trying to get better at it. But I'll see something and I'll see the things that are wrong with it, and then focus on that instead of okay, this is wrong. What can we do to make it better? How can we grow? How can we use this for something really great? And I feel like that's what you really did, and that's what you do. And so when you do that and then pull the people up, those who are doubting and in that other space, you're able to lead them into seeing the vision, seeing the vision of that thing, which is really hard for a lot of people to see.
Well, and like I've mentioned before, my take on leadership is you put yourself in the thing first before you ask anybody else to do it. So I wanted you guys to believe, of course, but I had to believe. And so, I mean, I'm talking, I was working 18, 19-hour days, and sometimes just you guys would come along some of the time. Sometimes you'd be in a good mood, sometimes not. But I was like, I'm a believer in this thing, and I'm not going to stop grinding until we find something that kind of hits. And then as it started to groove, all of a sudden it's like, oh, the momentum's there, and now we can jump on board. And ideally, like Joey said, we start to get there quicker as a team because we want to be nimble. Like we want to be known as a company for being excited about change, willing to change. We see something new, and we're not going to change because of change. Like, not at all. We're going to change because if there's a better way to do it, we're going to find it, and we are going to deliver that thing.
Yeah, that's so interesting because I would say even just our online masterclass was something that proved to me that, like, it proved that, A, we're doing something really, really good for the world, for our students, for everything that's going on. But B, it proved, like, why would I have ever doubted something when this could be the impact? Because you see it firsthand and you're like, oh my goodness, like, to think that, and you pulled me aside the other day and you were like, because we've been working on our digital presence. We talked about that a lot. I think we talked about it on our last podcast too. But you said your videos need to be seen. They need to be out there because you're working on that. You're getting good at that.
Dude, you're crushing these edits. Your edits are really good, and I've seen the content that's out there, and there's a lot of content that's much better than ours. A ton. We can get way better. But we are better than our views, much better.
Yeah.
And your editing has gotten extraordinary to the point where I'm like, okay, I don't believe we're the best in the world yet, but I do believe that your edits are really good and they need to get seen. I do believe that.
Yeah. So that sort of ignited my competitive spirit a little bit because, you know, there's always been, this is something that you beat out of me in Masterclass the last time we did it in person and I was with Jay, is this self-doubt that I have.
Right.
You know, and I'd walked away from it for a while where it wasn't affecting me, and I think... Dude,
and I gotta interrupt you for 1 second. That is one of the things that just drives me through the wall, is when people are... That I love, especially. I mean, I love a lot of people, but people that beat themselves up. I mean, it just kills me because, and I mentioned this morning on
I was gonna say,
on
you
the
just
show.
talked about it today.
And the greatest example is my wife. Like when the thing, we don't fight often, but when her and I are gonna have an argument, 99% of the time, it's because she's beating herself up and I am literally defending her against her, and she gets mad at me, like we're in a fight about it. But the point is very simple. I love her too much. I love you so much that I don't want to be around the person that's beating you up. And if that's you right now, stop it. Stop beating yourself up because I care about the person that you're talking bad about.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes with you guys. When you say something, Joey, like you can't do something or you're not capable or you know whatever, like it drives me up the wall because I'm going, dude, you are selling yourself so short.
Yeah.
You have no idea what you're capable of. Like you are capable of 100 times, 1,000 times more than what you're doing right now. You know, and you think you're working hard. Psh, dude, you're capable of more, 100%. You know, you're capable of being more efficient. You're capable of being smarter. You're capable.
Yeah.
So just don't say those things because they ain't true.
Yeah. I mean, I can speak for both of us, but I'll speak for myself first. Like, I'm so thankful that you do that.
Yeah.
Because it's again, like, it's one of those things where I felt like I had distanced myself from that a little bit, right? And then something like this comes up where it's like a knock in the teeth for the whole world. Everybody feels it. And that's what, like, I love editing our videos, and I love the way you speak, because when you talk to people on Mornings with Matt, when you talk to anybody, you want to assure them, like, hey, everybody's going through this. Like, you are not alone.
Right.
And that's the big thing, like, I can tell you, like, just in my personal life, I hate being alone. It's something I've always struggled with. It's just something that's it's the Achilles heel for me.
Yeah.
Like, I just, for whatever reason, like it's something that I really struggle with getting over. And when I am alone, I feel alone and I get myself into that place, that's where bad things happen. And I fell into a bit of a depression with this whole coronavirus thing for the first time in my life that I fell into a deep depression.
And it was hard for me, Joey, because I knew you were going into depression. I saw it coming. I could feel it. I even mentioned something to Brian about it. And I said, he's going through this thing right now, and I know there's nothing I can do about it right now. He's going to he needs this time. It was about a 3-day span. I'm like, he needs this time to just kind of go inside him and find him. And it was painful for me to watch you go through it because I knew it was coming. I knew it was going to happen. I knew the aftermath wasn't going to be good. But then you showed up.
Yeah.
And you showed up, and it wasn't in a great mood, but you showed up. And, you know, you weren't always uplifting, but you showed up. And, you know, and you didn't go the extra mile every time, but you showed up. And when you started showing up, because in other words, when you started fighting for you, I started fighting for you.
Yeah.
That's the end. That's what it's always going to be. So as soon as that happened, then if you remember, I pulled you aside. We had a little cry together.
Yeah.
And then boom, like you flipped the switch again, and it was like, we're back, baby. Oh yeah.
100%. Yeah, I cried for 30 minutes, and it was like really, really hard. But the thing about it was, like, even before that, we got into this stick point, and I was so thankful for you because you were able to listen to me in that moment where I wasn't being the kindest, because I was fighting this internal battle so hard. Like you said, I was showing up, and it was the hard thing to do. It really was.
100%.
Because I know when I come in here, you're expecting me to be on my A game. You're expecting me to lift you up, and I expect the same thing out of you. So if I'm in a place where I'm not in a place where I can lift you up, or I feel like I can, or I'm in a weird mood or whatever, like I already know that I'm working with Matthew Deering, like he's gonna know it, and we're probably gonna talk about it, you know.
Yeah, and then moving forward, and you're gonna continue to get better at this, but everybody needs to just get better at this, and that is stop trying to hide it.
Yes.
You're working with anybody, but you just say you're working with Matthew Deering. You walk in the door. I know he's going to know, and I know we're going to talk. Don't make me bring it up. God, it drives me nuts. Okay? You just say it. Like, lay it out there quickly, and then you use all the tools we talk about. Get yourself through it, and then get the team under you.
Yeah.
You know, like, because we say this a lot, but we want to be your hero. You know? The people around you that are your support system, they want to love you. Let them.
Yeah.
Please stop trying to be, you know, the everything and to hide it and pretend like you can. And I think it's interesting because we think we can hide things, or maybe we don't.
Yeah.
Maybe we know we can't hide it, but we just want to wallow for a minute, and we want people to feel sorry for us for a minute, and then we want you to ask us about it, and then we kind of want to fight. Because weirdly we want to bring you down, like, because it's like if I'm doing a drug, it makes me feel better if you're doing the drug.
Yeah, sure.
If I'm drinking alcohol, it makes me feel better if you're drinking alcohol. So if I feel sad and depressed, it actually makes me feel better if you feel sad and depressed. So therefore, am I holding myself accountable for the fact that my mood, my whatever I'm going through, if I don't say it and admit it, and I'm adding all this negativity in, that I literally am infecting the people around me?
I would love to speak on this really quick, because for me it was a little different, but it goes like, that's the undertone of it, but it came from this place of like, this was legitimately the first time I had gone through something like this, like a deep depression, really, really hard. And so for me it was more denial, you know. It was, I didn't want to accept the fact that I was in that place. And
I'm going to roast you right here on the podcast, bro. This is not the first time. This is not even close to the first time. This is like the 100 millionth time. And you need to brace yourself to understand that is the truth, that I'm telling you absolute truth right now. And really, the coronavirus just brings things out of people. Like this moment brought stuff out of people.
Yeah.
You know? And so... And I can tell you, your brother can tell you, you've had many moments where you went home and all sad and then whatever, and we had to pull you out of it. Like, this has been happening for 2 years since you started here.
Yeah.
But guess what? I have too.
Yeah.
So I'm not
Same.
calling you out and saying that you're this way.
Yeah.
But I'm saying don't lie to yourself and think that this is an isolated incident, because it ain't. Like this is just a recurring incident that you're getting better and better at. And to your credit, this was a big deal. Like the coronavirus was a big deal. And so the fact that you got through it in 3 days the way that you did, to me, that's an extraordinary win. And I give you credit for that.
Yeah.
But I will not sit here and let you say that's the first time, because it totally isn't. You've been depressed many times that I know about, and there's probably many times I don't know about.
Interesting. Yeah.
What were you going to say, Bright Guy?
Earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to jump on and this is something that you were able to help me resolve a while back specifically, but in the hospital before. And this experience was a lot different for me, this recent one, because, I mean, I got a lot done. Like a lot done on the YouTube side and when we were working on that stuff.
Yeah.
And before, though, straight up, when you get in there, it's so easy in those environments to just let yourself sink in and sort of get down. And then what I would do before is that I would just put out posts like, hey, pray for this and do that, whatever. And the excuse I would make for myself really was, well, you know, the more prayer you got, the better for you. It had nothing to do with that. Like, and that's that lying to yourself thing. It had nothing to do with like, okay, prayer is great in numbers. You know, that wasn't the truth. That was a lie that I was totally telling myself. And I wanted to get it out there in that way because I wanted the attention.
Yeah.
That was me. It was attention. But
And how many times did I tell you?
More than I can count.
Stop doing that.
Took like 5, 6 hospital
You're embarrassing
visits.
yourself. You're embarrassing the
Yeah.
studio. Really. I mean, that's the way it was.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because it was like crickets sometimes. And now let's flip it, okay? Because the YouTube video you just put out not that long ago on YouTube, which was how to stay happy in a hospital bed. But the thing is, it wasn't BS.
Yeah.
It was Brian Sweeney, but it wasn't the other BS. And so, thank you, Joey. Yeah, it's delayed. It's too delayed. It's too delayed.
It's still there.
So,
Hey.
so you were killing it. Like you looked fresh. You looked like the Spirit of God was inside of you, and you were truthfully connecting to the camera, to people. It had nothing to do with you. For the first time in the hospital, you were doing something in such a way that had nothing to do with you. You were not asking for sympathy. You were not asking for anything. You just wanted to give, and it was very clear. And I told you, right? I texted you right away.
100%. Yeah.
I said, dude, that's your best YouTube video you've ever done in a hospital. Which, by the way, there's a lot.
Hey.
A lot.
But I said, and also maybe ever. Like maybe it's your best video ever. Okay, and then guess what? You got so much attention. That video has so many comments. I mean, people are all over the place, and it has nothing to do with you being in the hospital. It has nothing to do with that. It's the fact that, you know, the message you delivered and the way you delivered it. And guess what? You also got sympathy. You got it. You know, you got attention. You got all the things you wanted by not seeking it.
Yeah.
And it's a huge, huge lesson for you. But I mean, for all of us to just say, okay, if I'm going after something ever for the wrong reason, I gotta question that. Why am I doing this thing? And it can come down to the tiniest little details. You know, what am I doing right this minute? And is it actually glorifying God? And is it lifting me up? Is it taking me up? Or is this lifting up maybe this place that's supposed to lift up more people? You know, am I putting others before me, or am I putting me before everybody else?
Absolutely. Can I take a step back to the online really quick?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. 100%.
With the online acting school, it's interesting. It just like came to me this when we talked about the online. I remember I can't remember if we were doing a speech or I think it was PVCP. We went and did a speech there, and then afterwards, as a team, we went and got breakfast. We grabbed Shay and we went to that place. And I remember you sitting down, and we were talking about, and you've been pushing this for like over a year. You know. We need to put all in on this, and
I needed you guys to do it with me because I couldn't do it alone.
Right.
You know, and I actually needed you to believe as much as I did and work 12-hour days after work to get it accomplished.
Yeah, and we didn't.
We didn't. But now we did. Right?
Now we did. So
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I actually want to jump in to sort of a question here, morning with Matt style in a sense.
Sure.
So in that, yeah, we did, but because there was all this other stuff, and the stuff that was going on right then felt the most important, and so we were focusing on that one thing, you know.
Right.
but you needed the other. Like, it had to happen. You're 100% right. And think about where we would have been if we just said, let's go, you know? But I think we get distracted. I know I do, where I'll get on just the thing that's right in front of me and not the other things that are so important, and figure out how to balance those hours a little better. And if we had just done that then, I just can't even imagine where it would be. And so I think a lot of people right now might even be growing in big ways and doing that, but we're looking at the other side of this thing. Like, I can just feel it. It's just, you know, we're moving in that direction. And so with all of that being the case, like, walking out of this, right, it's not going to become that thing that you have to do. So when it's not the thing you have to do, like, finding ways to, like,
What do you mean?
Like, okay, so, like, with the online, we have to. Like, we have to put all of our focus on this. We need our students to still be able to do their thing, to be served, and be able to grow in their lives and their acting the way they are now. So we figured out all the systems. You and Joey spent a week, literally, like 6-8 hour days just setting up all of this and
Dude,
testing
I
things
redid the setup
multiple times.
12 times.
Yeah.
12 times. I redid all the chords, redid all the lighting, redid everything. Because why? Because I didn't want to have to do it again.
Yep.
I did it that way, to that degree, because I didn't want to have to do it again, and I didn't want to break things. And honestly, like, I kind of want to do it again right now.
100%.
You know, like, we're about at that place where we've been using it for about 3 weeks, and I'm like, yeah, this could be cleaner. Like, there's a way we could tighten things up a little bit. I mean, put it this way: we tried to start today, and this XLR cable was giving us feedback, and we had to switch it out. Why? Probably because things are all tangled up in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's probably why. We don't know exactly why, but that's probably it. So it goes back to that idea of trying to get better, like looking for ways to get better. So I'm going to tell you right now, if your question is, how do we push ourselves? If that's what you're asking, when life comes back to normal, how do we push ourselves to continue to want this, to continue to do the thing that we don't have to do? You have to give in fully, 100% to this idea of, I am going to be working on mastery for the rest of my life. I will not settle for anything. Like, it's never good enough. And it doesn't mean people can hear that and think it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I celebrate the crap out of where we are, man. But I also celebrated the very first day we went live. I celebrated that day. I was like, dude, we did it. Awesome. You know, I celebrated the very first, virtual class we had. And I was like, that was great. Like, we did it. We did it, guys. Like, poof. But then what? The second that was done, I'm like, how do we get better?
Yeah.
How do we make that class better? How do we up this experience to make sure that students are being, connected with us, and they are really feeling that same experience that they deserve when they come to our studio?
Yeah. This is a great time to bring up the analogy that you use all the time with me specifically is our floors were really, really bad after one of our master classes.
Yeah.
And so I went out, and I was like, I had no clue what I was doing. I had worked with one of our students, Jason Jackson, a couple of times on just painting hardware. He's a contractor, so he taught me a little bit of the ropes, and I got to work beside him on his construction sites a couple of times, which was really, really cool. But it came a time where it was like we had nothing after that masterclass weekend, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna paint the floors. And I didn't tell anybody about it. I just like did it. And then you came in and you were like, oh, this is so cool. And you were like, oh, but we should touch over these couple spots because there's a couple of white spots. And at first I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. but that analogy is so great because I get it now, and you've used it.
So did
you
you explain the analogy completely here?
No, I'm about to.
Okay.
Yeah, but the analogy is when you do something great, like you take a lens and you look at it and you see the tiny white spots where you could just make a little bit of improvement that will make so much of a difference.
Right.
But or you could just leave the tiny white spots there, but then you're not getting better. It's like, okay, I painted the floor, now what?
Right. And it's also, if you don't do the work, if you don't lay down the foundation, here's the thing. When the floor's not painted, I don't know that the white spots exist. I can't see them until we get there, and that's the thing. Like when I ask us to push something, and so this is sort of, it is my role in this company. Really, is like, I'll ask you guys to push, and sometimes I need to step back and watch you guys push in a particular direction, okay? And you got to see me as the CEO, as this like drill sergeant who's going to pull back in times of war. And I'm going, you guys go, push, trust me, okay? The best thing I see is we go right, go hard now. And you got to listen, and you got to go, and you cannot question. You got to go, and then you have to trust that I am fully engaged 100% of the time, pulling back so I can look and go, stop, left.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. But if you don't push hard like that night you did, you pushed hard. You painted the floor. No one asked you to do it. You just did it. You walked in, and so that was your gifting. Was you exposed the white spots?
Yeah.
And I couldn't see the white spots without you doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So then we don't get mad that I'm bringing up the white spots. We celebrate the fact that that's my gifting.
Yeah.
My gifting is to find that tiny 1% and improve it. That's why I've worked with celebrities and billionaire CEOs and people, because those people want somebody to point out the white spots, and there are very few people in the world that walk into a brand new painted floor and can see that.
That's what Masterclass is all about.
That's what Masterclass is all about. You're right.
Yeah. That's literally my favorite part about it. And it took a while for that to be my favorite part. At first it was the performance part, because I was a stage actor, and I liked, kind of like Brian said, I liked the attention. I enjoyed, I knew that I was a good actor. I knew I could be a good actor. And so because of that ego, I wasn't able to push in Masterclass like I was this last time and the time before that. We've earned that trust, but that's my favorite part, is when you point out the white spots in the scene that I couldn't see, you know?
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think again that's a sort of life thing that you do as a leader that I think is so important for leaders to just notice that and start to realize it's okay to do that. But program wide it happens. So I'm thinking back like Valleywood, which we have coming up, right? Valleywood as a like program, I think back all the way to the beginning when we started, right? At the doctor's office lobby.
Yeah.
First ones to start doing movie camp here. And there were like just a few kids.
We did a movie camp back in 2007 out of a doctor's office with an old camera. Well, it was a newer camera at the time. With a camera we didn't know how to use. Mm-hmm. The two of us, and just like a lot of hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we had going.
Yeah.
You know, and now we've been doing it ever since, and making it better ever since. So, hey, I want to talk about something really quick. So I've got a big announcement coming, like a big announcement. We mentioned that at the beginning of the podcast that we're going to be talking to you guys about something big, some huge announcement that we have here. But before we get to that, I want to talk about this idea of letting go. All right, and right now we're going to be in a place where things are shifting. The world has shifted. Forever will never be the same. It's the way it is. So your relationships are going to shift slightly. The way you interact is going to shift slightly. And I believe with my whole heart, the best thing you can do is to let go. Find a way to stop trying to control anything other than you and your own thought life. And I'm going to talk into my own weakness here for a second. I'll begin there. I used to really struggle with this idea of letting go, especially when it came to students, because I fall in love with people here. Like I really do. And I put my whole heart and soul into people. And then when they leave or leave on uncertain terms sometimes, and it can get weird. And for me, it can get like unsettling, because, you know, I'm clearly a passionate dude. Like there's no way around it. Like I am passionate, and I'm going to tell you the truth one way or the other. And I'll even apologize. Like if I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong, and I will say sorry. And you guys can attest to that. I am known for saying sorry
right away.
And right away.
Yep.
And being willing to be wrong. So therefore I've earned the fact to then speak the truth. And if you bring something up that's counter to what I'm saying, I'm not going to tell you that is 100% not right. I'm just going to tell you, okay, what I'm speaking to you is my truth. Let me try to explain it and help you understand that thing. And so anyway, by doing that, people have really been drawn in here, who want that, who seek that, who are just desiring this like burning light that we have going on here. But it's also repelled some people away, because it can be hard to hear the truth. It can be hard to have somebody hold the mirror up to your face and say, hey, by the way, this is what you look like right now, and you might want to change the way that Putum looks on that mirror there. And so anyway, this process of letting go has been very interesting, and we got to experience the comeback, the beginning of the comeback of a student that I love very much, Jason Jackson. He's somebody who I hold very, very special in my heart. He's a guy who's done so many things around here. I could get teary-eyed about it. I mean, he built our kitchen. He sewed the curtains that are behind us. He did electric. I mean, he's a general contractor. If you don't know Jason Jackson, follow him on Instagram and different things. He's a wonderful, wonderful dude, a really great craftsman, and he left for a while, and thank goodness I was at a time in my life then where I had really figured this out, and I was able to let go. And I let him free completely from me. You know, like I didn't do anything, but I'm just saying, like, I didn't hold any resentment. I held nothing. I told him this even. I said, dude, when you're ready to come back, I will just have my arms will be wide open, and I cannot wait for that day. If it comes, I just can't wait for it, you know? And that day came, and we did an improv podcast today, and it was so fun, and he was so good, and it was just such a delight to have him, you know, be back here. And I have this feeling that this massive, monstrous wave of human beings coming through here, being drawn to the Lighthouse, to the nonprofit theater, Lighthouse Theater, that's just a beacon of light pulling people in. We're gonna see this huge wave of people coming through and wanting to be a part of what we're doing, and because we've got a very specific vision, we are going to be impacting millions and millions of people with light-driven content through movies, through TV shows, through talk shows, through podcasts, through our acting classes, through all that we're doing. We want to inspire people to get closer to God, to become better themselves, and we want to inspire them to be better actors, which therefore makes them better people. And so the training works for actors, it works for CEOs, it works for mothers, it works for fathers, it works for kids, it works for anybody in any profession. It just works. The training works because it's all about truth. So when I say this to you, if you are feeling repelled, that's okay. Turn off the podcast. But if you're feeling drawn, if you're like, yeah, that sounds like the truth to me, like that sounds exciting to me, I want to know more about that, then that means there's something burning inside of you that's like, I don't know why I need to go there, but I feel like I need to go there. If that's you, call. Pick up the phone, go to the website, do whatever you got to do, get into a class, because I don't know either. I don't know why you'd be drawn, but there's a reason for it. And then that's a part of what happens here is people figure out why they were drawn here. I mean, people celebrate their anniversaries here.
Happened just yesterday.
It happened, yeah, and it means something to them because when they came here, they needed something. There was something missing in their lives, and we're not it. We just are the catalyst for helping them find it.
Yeah.
You know, we are just guides along the path. That's all we are. So when you're going through this time right now, listen to the Spirit, but also be willing to let go. That was the big concept there I wanted to get across, is find a way to let go, and when you do, love through the process. That's the hard part. I don't care if you said something nasty to me. I don't care if you did this. I don't care if you did that. I'm going to let go, and I'm going to love you as I do it. And I'm going to love you where you are. You can be there, but I'm going to let go of you so that I can keep moving forward. And if you do that, you're going to come out of this pandemic, you're going to come out of this lockdown really, really strong.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people that need to hear that. You know, you think about, you talk about everybody, they always come back, right? There's that idea, and the idea of, like, even Jason is emotional. It's so powerful, and I think about even me and my story, and all the way back, you know, from the beginning. We've been together, and then after the coma, it was gone for like 2 years. Well, I was in a rough place, like a really hard place. I was with somebody who I shouldn't be with, and I was doing things I shouldn't do. I was in a life that didn't belong to me, is the best way I can describe it. And so I didn't belong here. It wasn't right for me to be here. It was bad, and it was scary to come back. it was scary to come back. And it gets me emotional just thinking about it, because it's the prodigal son story. You know, when I came back, there was nothing from the whole, like, you've been gone. There was no, like, none of it. It was like a day had never passed in the time here. And for anyone listening to this, it's just, that's the way that God works. That's the way the Spirit works. And so trust it, because the phone call isn't easy. The walking in isn't easy. That's the hard part, but you will not regret it. You will not regret it, because I'm speaking right from my truth here. I've learned so much, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be, where God has me, and it would have never happened if those calls didn't happen, and so it's just crazy. It's just cool. So
and when you come here, mark my words, it will be hard.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to be a cakewalk, because it ain't going to be a cakewalk, but when you show up here, you are going to grow, and you are going to experience something inside of you. You are going to change in some way, shape, or form for the better. That is going to happen. But growth, change can be hard. It can be sticky, you know? And so that's why I say, like, you're going to be called here because you're going to be ready. And if you're ready, I got to tell you, we are ready for you. And we are growing, and I demand it. I demand it of myself, and I demand it of the people around me to be growing at all times, because we have to be prepared for you. When you're ready to grow, we can't be the year-old version of us, and we never will be. That's why our program is built the way that it's built. There are no cookie-cutter classes. There are no levels that are just arbitrary. It is like everything is custom to each individual that walks in the room, and we see you that way. So if you walk in, it doesn't matter your experience. You're in the class. It doesn't mean you're in the beginning class. You're in the class. If you have no experience, you're in the class. And we push you, and you develop yourself in different ways. And our goal is to make sure everybody grows. Everybody, wherever they are, they just got to get better. As long as that's happening, we're doing our job.
Yeah. Shall we
Give me a drum roll, will you?
drop the news?
Here we go. News.
That's a short drum roll.
It is a short drum.
I was
roll.
like,
That's quick.
Yeah, it's like you kind of like just. But
You know, but it's good for class.
You know
though,
what's
'cause,
funny
like,
is
right for a setup.
Yeah. I had a really long one, and then you had me cut it. So it's funny
I
that
got
you
it.
say
I got
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably you should have a long one that you just bring down or something.
Yeah,
or turn
that's a
off
good
or,
idea.
Yeah, I don't know, because now it's like.
Or
I
just
mean,
have
that's
two
the drum.
buttons. Have two buttons, because I mean that's a great one for just like Matt Deering.
Brian, why don't you do the drum roll?
Okay.
No, I mean like you do it with your voice.
Ready? Sounds like a. I don't even know.
He
what-
sounds like a
like
platypus.
I don't know.
Sounds
Not
like
great.
Perry the platypus.
Yeah, it does.
Ladies and gentlemen, there have been kids out there. There have been teenagers out there. There have been parents out there who are dying. They are begging. They just like, guys, you got to tell us what is going on with your summer, because we love Valleywood. and we're like, guys, we know, we get it. We love it too. And they're like, but you know, it's coming up June 1st, right? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I do know that, you know, but the no buts. We're going to be opening in person June 1st, Deering Acting Studio, opening the doors, mic drop.
Yeah! Let's go!
That's the big news. We are setting the date. It is happening, okay? We don't know the details. This is the same thing, right? Earlier, it's a belief thing, okay? So, and you guys are believers. I need you guys to be believers, all right? So, and maybe it took Joey a second, and then he got through it. Maybe it took Brian a second, he got through it. It might take you a second, but you'll get through it. Here's the deal. You don't have to know how, because we don't know how. We don't know how we're going to open yet. We will be systematically delivering to you the details as we figure them out. But we are going to open up in a way that is safe. We are going to open up in a way that is lifting the spirit, that is going to be loving, that is going to be giving, and everyone is going to be protected, but we are going to be together, and we are going to open our doors June 1st. So as we develop our way to open, it'll be extraordinary. There will be plenty of hand sanitizer. Okay, there will be other precautions that have been taken, and it will be fun, but we are going to open. So we don't need to know the how yet. We just need to know why. Why are we opening? It's because it's time. The salons are opening. The restaurants are opening. it is safe enough to have the amount of people that we are going to have in this building. So we will not be held back by fear. And we will be the first ones to put our names on the list and say we are opening, and we're going to set the date, and it's happening. And do we know how? Not yet. But it's going to be extraordinary when we do.
Yeah. That just felt like a moment for yeah. I don't know. Like, if there was a button for it, I'd do it, but I don't know the button.
I feel like we need a button for Brian's. Yeah.
No, I don't know about that. Yeah.
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 All right, so get excited, ladies and gentlemen, and that means you in classes, too. That means
That's
you will
everybody.
be back in classes. That first week, we are off in June to do Valleywood, so that's very exciting. That means our private lessons are going to open back up. That means our corporate clients are going to open back up. That means our castings are going to open back up. That means the Deering Acting Studio is open for business. This is big news. So June 1st, that's going to happen. You're going to get details on all of our shows, all of our content. We're going to start dropping hints as to exactly how we're going to do it, but all we know is we're going to do it. So if you haven't signed up for Valleywood, which, by the way, we had 3 signups yesterday on the website, and I was worried about this, about us filling up too quick, and Joey's the believer in this subject too, but the idea was like, we hadn't even told everybody we were going to have the camp 100%, and 3 people bought online. It was like, okay, all right, well, we're having the camp, guys. We are having the camp. The kids are going to have an amazing time. It's going to be the number one camp, movie camp, number one. Do it, Joey.
Number one kids movie camp ever. The number one.
I don't think this works as well for me when I do this thing.
It doesn't. It
Brian,
does
Doesn't feel
not.
the same.
Brian, let's end here. Take off your headphones, will you?
Oh, gosh.
Hey, Joey, where's my super suit?
Honey, where is my super suit?
What?
Where is my super suit?
We are opening, ladies and gentlemen, June 1st, Deering Acting Studio. We cannot wait to have everybody back here in the studio. You get to play with all our new equipment. We are going to have a blast together. We are the Incredibles, you and us together. Let's find our super suits, and let's go get this thing.
Have a Deering day, everyone.